Hello, this is Myra Elaine on the Buying Space channel. I enter into another section of the Torah. The last section was Yithro, where Moses had returned to the land of his father-in-law, the land of his wife, right outside there, and um, went to Mount Sinai, where he encountered the burning bush and God talked to him. So he was returning to his place of contact with God. And he's been given the 10 Commandments. And God is giving him further instruction on how they're now nation. Previously, they were a tribe that entered Egypt, that prospered while they were in Egypt to the point where they became a nation state within the nation of Egypt. And Pharaoh was worried that they might come, the Hittites might come to them, and the Hittites and them together could destroy Egypt. So he was strategically thinking about how to hold on to his wealth and power, and was paranoid and was killing off the male children of Israel. But they continued to grow and prosper and gain their freedom after the 10 plagues. And here they are at Mount Sinai, where God himself has verbally talked to them. And Moses has received the 10 Commandments. So we're continuing in additional laws and statutes. Now, Christians tend to, after the 10 Commandments, just fall on deaf ear about the rest of the laws and ordinances. This Torah has the original Hebrew on this side and translated into English on this side. And in this translation, directly from the Hebrew, it says, "And these are the ordinances which thou shalt set before them." So these are a continuation of the law. Now, this is the basic law. These are the basis on the continuation of these laws. And another reason that this happened is chapter 21 is the chapter that people say the Bible endorses slavery. It does not. It endorses indentured servitude, which we still have in some forms currently in the world. I mean, there are places like Libya that have full out slavery still. And we still have indentured servitude. I know that in the last 20 years in the United States, illegal immigrants come in, and even politicians have employed them to be servants in their home with very little return, maybe food, shelter. They take care of their children, uh, you know, and we had a phase where maids would raise children in the South. This practice still continues today in some portions of the world, as does full on slavery. So these are the continuation laws. Now, you will notice that in this section that's talking about indentured servitude, that the servants have rights, that the masters just can't do anything they want. There are rules about having indentured servants that live with you, and they have the right to be treated in a certain way. This is not antebellum slavery where we had in the South, where masters could beat, rape, kill, separate families, do whatever they wanted with their slaves. This is not the situation. "If thou buy a Hebrew servant, 6 years shall he serve, and in the 7th he shall go free out of the country for nothing. If he come by himself, he shall go out by himself. If he be married, they shall his wife go out with him." If his master should give him a wife, and she bear him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall belong to her master, and he shall go out by himself. And if the servant should plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free, then shall his master bring him to the judges, and he shall bring him to the door or unto the door post, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. And if the man sell his daughter to be a maidservant, she shall not go out as the man's servants go out. If she please not her master, who hath espoused her to himself, then shall he aid her to be redeemed. To sell her into a strange nation he shall have no power, seeing he hath dealt deceitfully with her. And if he should espouse her to his son, then shall he do unto her after the right of the daughters. If he take himself another wife for food, for raiment, or for conjugal rights, shall he not diminish? And if he do not these three things unto her, then shall she go out free without money. So, if a man goes in as a servant, marries another female servant, and they have children, that wife and child still belong to the master. He cannot profit from his servitude. But if he comes in with his own wife and they bear children together, that wife came in with him, and she and the children will go out with him. But if the man chooses, he says, I love my master, I'm happy, I love my family, I want to stay in this household and have the master take care of us. Because the ordinance said they needed to take care of their servants, and their servants had rights. So this is not antebellum slavery at all. This is not what happened in the South of the United States prior to our Civil War. This is employment. You have less rights than they did back then, but this was part of their culture and society. Now, Joseph, as in the Joseph of the coat of many colors, was put down in a hole and sold as a slave. This and what the Egyptians did was different. They went out and they killed all the male babies. They could do whatever they wanted to the Israelis when they were under slavery. So do you think the Israelis are going to come out, the Jewish people, the Hebrews are going to come out of that slavery and treat people like they were treated under the Egyptians? But there still had to be a system where people served other people. Just like today, if we go and make a contract with an employer, we are given a job description, we are given duties. It's a little different because we don't live with them. We don't build our families with them, usually. There's laws or rules against, in most companies, about even dating someone within the company. They're nepotism laws. So it's not like a family can go work for one company. Those things are not supposed to happen anymore. Your employment is supposed to be separate from your home life. And that's why people, live-in servants today, their rules are a little different because they do live with their employer. But most of us go to work, come home. And if you have an employer that tries to make your employment situation a part of your family and culture, you can say no to that. I know some good employment attorneys, but this was not full out slavery, and the indentured servants had rights. Just like when people came over from Europe, from, like, say you were Irish and you didn't have the money to come to the United States, but you wanted to get out of Ireland, you could sign a contract where you would work for 7 years. Same thing here, indentured servitude for 7 years, and they would pay for your passage, and they would take care of you, or the child that you sent over. They would take care of your child for those 7 years. And they might decide to stay in the same household after those 7 years are over, but they're no longer an indentured servant, they're an employee then. Or they may go, if they go over with a cobbler who makes shoes, they may open their own shoe shop in that town or the next town. So it was, and that was also part of, having someone that was your mentor, that you learned a skill from. If that person that paid your way over, that you were an indentured servant from, didn't have you just doing domestic chores, but they had you helping in their business too. So that was early employment. It's like, you have a probationary period. Of course, 7 years is a very long probationary period. But after that, you could continue to work if you were good at your skill for the same person for an income. So it wasn't like slavery like we had in the South. And this is not like slavery like we had in the South. And I no way, no how endorse any kind of slavery at all. Indentured servitude was a contract. And these people that were indentured servants had rights. And the daughters of the indentured servants that were sold as maidservants or married into the household had rights, and they were to be taken care of. And they weren't allowed to be sold to just whoever. That head of the household had to make sure that maidservant, or if she married a son, was treated like a daughter. But if they were sold to another household, that they were taken care of. It was a moral obligation under the law. So those of you out there that say the Bible endorses slavery, well, does the United States endorse slavery because we have a employment law set up that may or may not be fair? It's a complicated issue, but this is not full-on slavery, and these people had rights, even though we might consider the rights that they had very minimal to the rights that workers and servants have today. So I will go on to the section about murder or killing in the next lesson. You all have a wonderful and blessed day.